Welcome back to another week of what's going on in the shop. Of course I did a few branding irons, plus I did this strap thing here. I basically just modified it so we could put a toggle clamp on it, and this is just to put force on something to hold it in place. You'll see that I put a bigger bore through the center and 4 bolt holes for the toggle clamp. And the toggle clamp will push down on this aluminum piece here, and that pushes against something else to basically just hold it in place. Here I am just spraying some super glue activator on here to make a dog tag. The super glue activator works, and I just put a little bit on there and it works like a charm. And here is the part that gave me the most trouble. This was my first time boring on the Miyano lathe here, and I had some problems. More on that in a second. Here's a brass branding iron. Nothing to see here, just normal stuff. Roughing everything out here. And then we'll bring on the engraving bit and engrave everything. Then we'll flip it upside down, drill out a hole, and thread mill the 3/8/16 thread. Back to the part that gave me the most trouble here. This is the 1/4" shank boring bar that I got, and I basically blew it up pretty hard. And that's because the hole that I pre-drilled with the 1/2" boring or 1/2" drill was not tightened down tight enough, and it slipped back in the cullet, and wow, the boring bar just exploded as soon as it went in to bore it out. It was scary. So I had to order another one of those. In the meantime, while I waited, I went ahead and started making another part. And this is all for the same project that's coming up here soon. Well, hopefully soon. And I realized it didn't face the whole thing on that cut, which is okay. It's not a big deal. And here they are all cleaned up with a 1032 tapped hole in there. I just did those by hand because I'm afraid to put a tap in the lathe yet. So we'll get there at some point. Got the trusty Lakeshore Carbide engraving bit and another brand off the Tormach. And I finally got another boring bar back and trying out the same exact part as before. So you'll notice there's a lot of stick out on this, and there's going to be a lot of chatter. And there's a good reason for this at first, because I was going to make another part that required a deep bore with that boring tool. And that was the reason for it, but you'll see later in the video where I shortened that stick out of the boring tool a lot. And I realize on this spot right here I don't really need it because the drill from the previous part was deep enough that I didn't need it, but still, it's there. And it's in the program, and I'm not going to change that every time. I'll at least need it once. So you can see the boring bar really moving on this because there's a lot of stick out. And you'll see that was fixed, like I said. Here is the part that was going to require the deep bore, and I decided not to do that, and this is where I shortened up the stick out on that little boring tool. I'm not going nearly as deep, and it is much quieter now. And then I finished up the depth of cut in the mill. I just put a long reach 3/8 end mill in there, and I cleaned everything up, and I don't want to give away too much. And here are all the finished parts off the lathe. These will be going into the mill this upcoming week, so they'll be finished up at the end of the next week. So I'm excited for that. There's a lot of stuff going on with this, and they're all part of the same piece, the same assembly, and I hope it works out. It's going to be really cool if it does. So stay tuned for what all this is. So thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.